Okay, welcome to back to school night with me and Miss Elward. I just wanted to start off with some um questions about me. So let's see, 1 second. Let's see. So where did I grow up? And what year did I graduate high school? How many siblings do I have? What college did I attend? How many pets, if any, do I have, and how many years have I been teaching? So give you a little bit of time and then I'll reveal the answers. Okay, so I grew up in Palo Alto. I graduated high school in the year 2007. I have one younger sister, and I went to University Pacific, and I have one dog, and I have been teaching for 9 years. So the agenda for today is actually not this. My original presentation was too long, so feel free if you want to learn about um, like the future for your kid, what's next in math, like why you should take certain classes or not. You can watch that video, and then also if you want to learn how to like navigate Google Classroom and what like a typical day looks like in class and how they turn in assignments and things like that online, you can look at that video. So I'm just going to focus on class routine, syllabus, and support for your students. So in integrated 2, we did have to cut some stuff out because of lots of things, because we're going at a slower pace in general, because this is online, because of the fire and all of this stuff. So the topics that we cover are Chapter 1, we covered polygons, area and perimeter, and angle relationships. Oops, that went too fast, sorry. Dilation, similar, and then we cut out congruent triangles because of the fire. And then for Chapter 3, we're cutting out probability, and we're just learning tangent. We're going to start Chapter 3 on Monday, September 14th. And then Chapter 4, we cut out the other trig, and we're just focusing on factoring quadratics. And then Chapter 5, we're going to do quadratic functions, completing the square, quadratic formula. We cut out all of Chapter 6. And Chapter 8, we're just focusing on area of polygons and circles. And then Chapter 9, absolute value functions of quadratic inequalities, cutting out piecewise functions, and then we cut out all of Chapter 10. Okay, so a classroom routine. Because of the fire, we were restricted to no homework. So the way that I split it up is kind of there's a 2-day classroom routine. So the first day, day 1 is where we do a lot of the learning. And then day 2 is when we do the practice. So on a learning day, we start with an opener, which is in a Google form. So students come in onto Zoom and they, check in, and they open up the opener on Google Classroom as a Google form, and it consists of problems that are either like review practice problems or from previous lessons, or they are skills that they'll need for the current lesson of the day. Then we go over any questions that they had on their independent work, which is from the book. We go over the answers, and then students usually chat to me privately on Zoom and ask me like to go over certain questions, and I go over those. And then we sometimes have notes, which is on the Google Slides. So basically just kind of some direct instruction about vocabulary and maybe some examples of how to do specific types of problems. And then I put them in breakout groups where they um, do like problems that will help them learn the lesson of the day. Then the next day, and that's a group assignment. It's usually on Google Slides or Jamboard. Google Slides, right, is basically the Google's version of PowerPoint. And what happens is that students have like one presentation per group, and so they can all collaboratively work on the different slides and answer. And each slide's like a problem, and they can type in the answers there and work together. And then the Jamboard is more like a whiteboard, and there are problems there, and they can either draw or type in problems. They can add sticky notes, and kids can all see like who's writing what for both of those. So they can, and I can see who's writing what on both of those. So when they're in their breakout rooms, like I'm not necessarily with them, but I can watch them work live, and then if they need help, they call me over and I can join their breakout rooms. And then day 2, they finish the classwork from day 1 if they haven't finished it. And then so the whole first day they are always in Zoom. So while they're doing their opener and independent work and then notes and breakout rooms, they're always in Zoom. And then day 2, they're in Zoom until I take attendance. And if they have to finish their classwork from the day before, like if their group was still working on it at the end of the period, then they have time to finish it in this class. And then after that, they work on independent work, which is problems from the book. And they can do that if they want outside of Zoom. So once they finish their classwork and have take attendance on a day 2 day, they may leave Zoom. Some students choose to stay in case they have questions. So they stay and like keep their mic and camera off and then just pop in and ask me questions. So that's what a general classroom routine looks like. So this is what the calendar look like. So you can see the day 1, the day 2 days are the gray days, and the day 1 days are the learning days. And then every lesson I have it on Google Classroom, and then there's also a link to it on this Google Calendar, and the lesson is like the opener and the answers to the bookwork problems and notes, and then sometimes the beginning of the classwork. And then for any bookwork problems, I have links to the homework help on the CPM. So I just want to go over the syllabus. So I already went over what we learned in Integrated 2. The class materials, generally, since everything is digital, like the openers are digital, notes are digital, the classwork's digital. The only thing that's not digital is like, and the tests are digital. The only thing that's not digital is like their scratch work. So when they're working out some problems for the opener or for quizzes and tests, and then also their book work. So all I require them really is just like have a graph paper notebook so they can keep all their homeworks in one place and have somewhere to do scratch work for the openers and assessments. So obviously you need some writing utensils, and then a graphing calculator is recommended but not necessary. Student expectations. You can find a link to this on my Google Classroom, the whole syllabus, but, so you can read it on your own. But generally, the just be present on time, be respectful, and show pride in your work, and communicate with me. I think the most important thing for this digital era is that they communicate with me. So I know it's important, obviously, in a regular classroom setting, but it's even more important in Zoom, because in a regular classroom setting, you know, they could be doing the warm-up problems at the beginning of the day, and I could be walking around the classroom, and for the I can visually see, you know, like when students, what students are getting correct and what they're not. But in this setting, it's not so easy, and you know, it's not really obvious when a student is struggling and not understanding certain problems. So they need to make sure that they communicate with me. And there's lots of ways they can do that privately. You can privately comment on assignments on Google Classroom. You can also email me. They can also privately chat to me when it's in Zoom class. So there's lots of ways that they don't want to expose their ignorance and, they're shy. That's the one advantage, I think, of this digital is I feel like kids are a lot more comfortable asking questions because they know that it's just to me. So make sure that your students are doing that. So the grading policy is just point based, so different things are worth different points. So the classwork that they have every day with their breakout groups is 5 points along with their book work, which is 5 points. And then the assessments, depending on what they are different values. So individual quizzes are 15 points. They've had one of those. And then team tests are 30 points. They had one for chapter 2, and then a unit exam, which they'll have one for chapter 3 is 50 points, and then the final exam is equivalent to a unit exam. Best practices obviously is keep organized, have a designated workspace, and stay on top of your work. And then also looking over your notes when working assignments. So all assessments are like open notes. So they can look at like old problems. They can look at like my old lessons. They can look even at videos of me working out problems. So make sure like they look over that stuff when they're working on classwork or any assignment. Daily routine, I sort of went over that, but they always start on Google Classroom. That's where the Zoom link is. And then they start the Zoom, and then when they're in Zoom, I went over that, but we participate through chat and polls, and then they also like work on collaborative assignments together. And then the following day, they'll have math work from the book to practice. And obviously a big important thing is academic honesty, right? It's obviously very important in a normal classroom setting, but it's definitely very important in this online because it makes it a lot easier to cheat. So make sure that, they're only really obviously cheating themselves. If you're copying homework and all that stuff, they really aren't learning, and it'll show up during quizzes and tests. So yeah, so as far as support goes, obviously I'm a big support. I have Open Fourth. I'm also like really available through like email, Google Classroom. Kids can ask me questions. As far as like tutoring though, I've heard that right now they're coming up with a system for library tutors where they will have the libraries open like at certain times during the day, and people have signed up to be tutors, and they'll be put in breakout rooms based on the kind of subject that they want help with. So I'll let you know when that is up and running. And yeah, so my contact information, obviously email is the best thing. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me.